Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mad Sports Radio. Martino Puccio, Matt Lascelles alongside me. So, we're doing our second part of the top 10 in the mock draft. Last week, we gave you picks 1 through 5. I'll just go through that real quick. We both had Markelle Fultz to Boston. He had Josh Jackson to Phoenix. I had Lonzo Ball, then Jackson to Lakers. Just alternate those with the Lakers and Suns. Orlando, we both had Jason Tatum. And I believe we both had De'Aaron Fox to Philly.
Yeah.
Despite, I know the order switched up now after the coin toss. Philly will be picking in front of Orlando, but I still think it'll go that way anyways.
So do I, yeah. I agree.
So we'll just hop into things. Minnesota won the coin toss over the Knicks, unfortunately. Sorry about that. You saw that coming. I think almost every Knicks fan saw you guys losing the coin toss.
Pretty much.
Even though it's just a coin toss.
Yeah, it's just, if there's one thing you could predict or not predict, it's coin tosses, I guess. But if you're a Knicks fan, you can predict
Another
it.
rough week, especially with the Carmelo news.
Yeah, well, that's... yeah.
I guess kind of karma, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
For him.
Something.
It's a terrible thing to do.
It's a rough time.
Okay. So anyways, Minnesota's on the clock. We know this is a point guard heavy draft. They drafted Chris Dunn last year. They still have Ricky Rubio. Really hard to see them go that route. Same thing for shooting guard. They have Wiggins there at the 2. Don't really see them taking Monk and moving Wiggins to the 3. I think that's definitely a possibility, but it's very unlikely, in my opinion, to see that happening. So the highest upside in a position that they'd be willing to take would be Jonathan Isaac out of Florida State. For a while, much through the season, I saw a lot of mocks have him going top 5.
Right.
I still think if worst case scenario, I could see him going top 5 is if somehow Boston falls to 4. That might be someone they would consider alongside Laurie. But anyways, what do you like about Isaac?
I like his length. Obviously, he's big.
6'10", 6'11", I believe, right?
Durant type body,
Yeah.
and can handle the ball well. For me, now, if I'm Minnesota, they've talked about trading Rubio for a couple of years, and Rubio's had a solid season, and Chris Dunn has not. Chris Dunn played very poorly all year.
Limited time, too.
Limited time, but
yeah, I know.
I wouldn't completely cancel out the chance of them going after Dennis Smith, possibly. You could always try to package Rubio or something. I think realistically and more logically, they do go with Isaac. I don't completely dismiss that, but I think Isaac fits best.
He could play the 3, right? Didn't he play some 3?
Yeah, he played
FSU?
some 3. I think it's probably more beneficial to them for him not to do that. Probably more like having Cat at the 5 and him kind of at the 4.
Because we know Cat could do both. Cat can go on the block. Cat's just probably one of the more complete centers ever, talent-wise.
Cat can do both, and he's going to spread the floor regardless because he's shooting threes so well now. So I think Isaac's probably the best fit for them, but I don't dismiss them maybe going Smith.
Okay. I mean, I think that's totally fair, but in my opinion, I don't know if Smith is really worth the risk at this point. I think they're really trying to push to get to the playoffs at this point. I think how many years in a row, I think since the Kevin Garnett was last on their team years ago before the Celtics trade, I think it was the last time they were in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so it's been a long time. They might, besides the Kings, those two teams might be the teams that have been longest absence in the playoffs.
That sounds about right.
Yep. Okay, so Knicks are up next. This is your team, so I'll let you go first for this. Who do you have them taking?
I say that the Knicks go with Malik Monk, and for a couple of reasons. I think the first is Monk is a bit of a safer pick, no injury history. That can also go by the wayside on day 1 of training camp. But
yeah,
that aside, Monk plays the 2. Something the Knicks have not really had steady for a while now.
Since Jamal Crawford, probably.
Yeah, since Jamal Crawford.
Maybe even JR, if you want to say that.
Yeah,
but he was 6 man.
Yeah. Shooting ability is terrific. Very athletic. Could jump through the roof, all that stuff. But I think the reasoning, because probably the next best player here would be Dennis Smith Jr. And of course, Knicks need a guard, but if I'm the Knicks and you want to build around Kristaps Porzingis, I don't know if a scoring point guard is the route you go. One, because of the uncertainty with the injury, and 2, I still think that getting a pass first point guard that can maybe set up a Monk and a Porzingis is something that they could still find either through trade or even later in the draft. Rubio is the one that keeps getting brought into question. That could be a route they go. I'm not opposed to either. Dennis Smith's a great player. I think for them though, I think Monk is probably the best bet.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and it totally makes sense. The Knicks definitely have to go guard here, but I'm going with Dennis Smith Jr. I think Dennis Smith has he has just as high of an upside as Fox, Ball, maybe not Ball and Fultz, but I think he definitely can. Best case scenario for Dennis Smith, I think he could be as good as De'Aaron Fox, or potentially even better, because I like his shot a lot more. That game against Duke was a real wow factor for me. I mean, that was just incredible to go into Cameron, especially on a team like NC State that just gave up in the middle of the season for Mark Gottfried, who obviously got let go. Obviously, he wasn't 100% back from his ACL injury, and obviously injuring your ACL back in high school is a bigger deal opposed to, later. I mean, it just shows that he was already prone to injury that young into his career, that early into his career. But like we said, I think the Knicks really need a guard here, and I don't think they can go wrong with Smith or Monk here. I mean, I think they're both I think Monk has the higher floor, just because I think he's more of a sure thing with the shooting.
Right.
With Smith, he was really inconsistent at times, as well as Monk, but at least Monk made it to the tournament, and he kind of showed once he was able to get shots, he hit them on regularity, and we talked about it too, that whenever Malik shot the ball, it felt like it was going to go in.
Yeah, for him on that left or right wing, I talked especially in the UNC game when he had the was it 47 right for the win,
47,
and he hit the two shots from the wing, I think one to tie, one for the lead.
Yeah.
That's a huge confidence boost, especially from a freshman. And he had the huge block. Who were they in the tournament? I don't even. Was that the Purdue?
No, they didn't play Purdue. Kansas played Purdue.
Regardless,
but, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Definitely a better defender than Smith, and I think that's a huge standout too, because the Knicks' defense has been absolutely atrocious.
But then again, knock on Monk too. 6'3".
Yeah,
small. Yeah. But he has played some point guard in the past at times and stretches, so I think it could go either way here. I don't think the Knicks can go wrong, really. Even the outside chance of them taking Lauri, because there's been people writing about how Lauri would be an interesting fit with Kristaps. It'd kind of be similar to what Isaac and Towns would be, but at this point, the Knicks have needed a guard for years. And they got to go guard.
You know how James Dolan is and how Phil Jackson is, and I wouldn't be surprised if even that's the route they go. They can go with somebody outside of the three that we mentioned also.
Who knows?
Just
maybe
because
take
it's
Justin
the Knicks.
Jackson or something. Who knows?
Yeah, just because it's the Knicks, which isn't even a bad pick, even though he's not projected that high. But
it would be a bad pick.
With
the players on the board.
I guess with the players
on the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Sacramento's first pick here, this is their actual pick. This is not the New Orleans pick. They would be picking 8 in this spot. So I have them taking Lauri Markkanen out of Arizona. Obviously, they traded away Boogie Cousins to the Pelicans in the deal that got them the 10th pick as of right now, prior to the lottery. Skal Labissiere kind of came on later in the year once he was getting touches. He looked pretty good. He's obviously a stretch, despite what Calipari tried to do to him in college. Lauri is very impressive. There's some people, Jason McIntyre of FS1, had the Celtics taking him at 1 in one of his mocks.
Yeah, that's absurd.
But that's McIntyre likes to be different like that. But there are a lot of people that really love Lauri. Even talking about like how there was rumors that not rumors, but there were people talking about how the Knicks should think about taking him, and just other teams in the top 10, let alone just the top 8 here that we're talking about. Oh, I think they should take Lauri. I think Lauri obviously shown a lot of flashes, but he just wasn't that consistent for me, and that happens a lot with big men. It takes years for big men to come around. Not everyone's going to be Karl Towns. I mean,
that's why you see so many big guys once they get to the league working with the Patrick Ewings and working with the Elijah Ones.
Took Noah a while. I know Noah's is what he is now, but
it's a lot more to playing inside, especially today when there's less of that. You have to really kind of adapt your game.
Body
to fit
development too. It's much more physical in the NBA than it is in college, because you touch a guy with 2 hands, it's not even a swipe, it's a foul in college.
Right.
So I think it's very difficult. I think Lauri's the pick here because it's a guard heavy draft. They don't have to take a guard right away. They have Buddy Hield, so I wouldn't take Monk here for me, because I had Smith going to the Knicks. So Laurie here. Who do you have? I assume you might have Laurie going to the Kings.
I agree with you. They're gonna need a guard, but they're gonna have two very good picks.
They
so
assume they're having.
They assume to have their very good picks. So I probably agree with going with Markkanen here and probably going to grab the guard later. It just makes the most sense. You know, no Boogie. You know, Cauley Stein and Skal, and you'd really like a solidified big man. If that's the route they're going to keep going, and Markkanen could be that guy for them.
This spot here is kind of where Miles Bridges returning to college kind of plays to effect on how it can change a whole team's plan for the future.
Absolutely, because Bridges was somebody that I kind of saw going to Minnesota. I kind of had Bridges going to Minnesota or Isaac, regardless, and then you could have flip-flopped either of them to Sacramento. So that's kind of, it's good for Markkanen because now he bumps up and shakes stuff up a little bit.
It shakes stuff up for sure, especially this next team, Dallas, who a lot of people saw taking Laurie here for the heir to Dirk. Because who knows? I think Dirk's trying to hit 20 seasons, and that's it. He announced that he was returning to the Mavericks.
Yes.
Who knows? Definitely a chance Laurie could drop to 9 here, but I'm taking Ntilikina out of France, because he's got great size.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about his upside, and you really got to respect his upside in this draft, considering all the great guards that are coming out as prospects in this draft. I know a lot of people are skeptical a lot of the time with these foreign guys, but to me, if there's more than 3 or 4 outlets that are saying he is this good and he's going to be that good, there hasn't been much on him. You can go on Draft Express or other areas, search up on YouTube. That's pretty much all you're going to get on this guy. But same thing with Dallas. When was the last time they really had a point guard that was that good? I mean, they got Darren Williams on nothing. Jason Kidd at the end of his career. I mean, J.J. Barrera's off the bench. It doesn't really count. There's Devin Harris. But this guy could be your real upside guy. I didn't go Monk here because you have Wesley Matthews.
Yeah.
You're not going to take Justin Jackson at the 3 yet, Barnes. So
I agree with you in this spot also because Dallas is probably maybe farther away from the playoffs than
most people think.
I
think they're going to be back in the lottery again.
Yeah, they're not working with much. Barnes is going to be gone by the time that they're ready to, unless he gets re-signed.
I think he's going to get
his contract
re-signed.
will be up. His original contract.
He just signed last year.
Yeah, no, but by the time they're ready to contend at least for the playoffs, he would have had to be re-signed. So
inability to get free agents.
Right. Yeah, it's not a free agent destination.
Even though Mark Cuban thinks it is.
Well, he can make it that, but it's not easy.
He scares a lot of teams away with his.
He does.
But
he does.
But go ahead.
I agree with this pick. They need the guard.
Yep.
An athletic guard, bigger guard, that works for them. And like I said, they're more than a couple years away from contending. Like Philly, to me, Philly is 2 years out from being the 8th seed.
Depending on health. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
If healthy, and Dallas is not that, especially playing in the West.
Even if they get Noel back,
you have to really build your team up before you could be a playoff team in the West. The East, you can kind of skate by. You look at Chicago and
the West
some of these teams.
The West has the best guards.
Yeah,
let's call it what it is.
Right.
So that. Okay, so Sacramento's second pick. This is the New Orleans pick. They do lose this. If it goes top 3, New Orleans gets it. Also, forgot to mention, Sacramento does technically lose their pick if it goes ahead of Philly, because Philly has the right to swap from the Nick Stauskas trade. Pretty sure that was the trade.
Right.
That's the one that would make most sense. Anyways, so Sacramento can be in really great shape
or really bad shape
in a way. Worst case scenario is New Orleans jumps up in the top 3. Their pick is before Philly, so all they get is Philly.
That changes absolutely everything.
It changes everything, obviously, because if New Orleans gets a top 3 pick in this draft, look out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That has a lot of potential. But anyways, we're obviously just going off of the lottery odds right now. So 10 to finish off this mock. I'm Malik Monk going there. I know we talked about how Vivek, don't even know how to say his name. Not Vlade Divac, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, that's not that right.
But Vivek is his first name, the owner of the Kings. Don't want to botch his last name. But anyways, he talked about how he thinks Buddy Hield is the next Steph Curry. He did play pretty well towards the end of the season when he got traded to the Kings. Actually, most of the Kings played a little bit better than I would have thought they did, especially with the emergence of Skal. So they took Laurie with the 8th pick. We both had him there. Now, I'm going with Malik Monk, obviously. I don't think Monk can go past the top 10 here. and I resisted him going to the Kings at that point after I chose Smith to go with the Knicks. But I did that. But I pick him here because they have a potential Splash Brothers thing, and I think it's obvious. We talked about how Monk has the potential to play point guard, but when you have the potential of someone like
Hield.
Malik Monk at 10, you can't pass on him.
No.
I know it's unlikely to go this way. Usually the lottery doesn't end up happening like that. If you look at the history of it,
Right.
the number one seed doesn't usually get it. But with Monk here, I think it's a great fit. He can play the one. They can definitely pick rotations and stuff where they could have Monk coming off the bench if he's not ready, and kind of similar to what the Nuggets have with Jamal Murray coming off the bench because they have Gary Harris or Will Barton over there. So I think they could totally figure it out if Dave Joerger has like the right system in place for them. But I can definitely see them going here because this is a scenario of best player available, and I think they can't pass on Monk. So you go with yours.
I mean, I had Monk going to the Knicks, so here would be the spot for Dennis Smith.
That's awesome if that happens for the Kings.
And it's a really nice fit for them. I'm not sure of the whole contract situation with Darren Collison. What does he have left? Anything?
I really don't know. I haven't really looked at that.
And
because,
you have to look at Ty Lawson
just,
as well.
Anyways, you don't even know what the Kings are going to do.
Right. So if that were the case, that's two. And Ty Lawson kind of given a second chance in Sacramento. Even if you count Lawson out, Collison is a extremely viable trade piece. If they were to go with
solid
Smith,
backup.
So I think that Smith is a good fit for them in that sense. Them two, they are probably the farthest away from being a playoff team because with Boogie and Davis playing in New Orleans, if they somehow get that top three, or regardless are able to get a decent guard plus having Drew Holiday, they're definitely closer to an 8 seed than Sacramento. So I think Sacramento is the farthest out. So you're kind of starting from the ground up. And I think Smith is a good start.
Picks.
They have to hit on these picks.
Smith and Markkanen would be incredible.
Start.
I think that might be best case scenario for
That's definitely best case scenario, especially because it's in the best case scenario format, and we don't know how it'll go. Depends on how the balls bounce. But I think
always those stupid balls.
Stupid balls. But I think for me with the Knicks, hopefully taking Monk. If they're able to, then Smith to Sacramento makes the most sense.
Yep, definitely. So that'll wrap up our top 10. I'll go through it really quick one more time just in case you forgot or weren't keeping track. I have Fultz, Ball, Jackson, Tatum, Fox, Isaac, Smith Jr., Markkanen, Laurie, Natigliana out of France to Dallas, and Sacramento gets Malik Monk. At the end of that, for you,
I go Fultz, Jackson, Ball, Tatum, Fox, Isaac, Monk, Markkanen, Natigliana, and then Dennis Smith. I think yours might be the one that probably turns out that way if it stays like that. But that's our top 10. Martino Puccio, Matt Lasella. Like, subscribe, comment. I know we got a lot of comments for the first 5 picks. We appreciate that. If you guys want to see more and do us 10 to 15 or whatever the case may be, or even we'll try and do one after the lottery odds. We'll maybe even go to Tankathon as a website. We could go have a random order there, and then try and figure out that draft right there, 1 through 10, and we'll sit down and do that for you guys. Absolutely.
But tune in, listen in next time. We'll probably give you updates for baseball and NBA playoffs soon as well. Tune in next time. See you later.